There is a simple but meaningful saying that explains personal growth. Ordinary people change outcomes. Exceptional people change causes. And the masters of their craft change the way they think. This is not something I created. It is a wise thought that is true when you see how people rise from difficult situations to achieve more. Professor Carol Dweck, a well-known psychologist from Stanford University, has studied this topic for many years. She has said many times that the difference between ordinary people and exceptional ones is not about how hard they work or the talents they are born with. It is about the way they think. The way they think decides how far they can go in life. I saw this happen with someone I have followed closely, an entrepreneur who started with nothing, so little that they could have touched the ceiling with their hands. This is not my story. It is theirs, a journey from nothing to financial freedom, thanks to 11 mindsets that turn difficulties into success. There is no name or city to mention, just a story that could be anyone's, whether you are enjoying tea in Seoul, dreaming big in Mumbai, or working hard in Hanoi. I am not here to tell you what to do. I just want to share what I saw, put you in their shoes, and maybe inspire you. Let's sit down and talk about it after a short intro. Greetings, friends. Welcome to Mindful Money Mastery, where we share honest wisdom like tea around a lantern-lit table to understand money and grow wealth step by step. No confusion, just clear ideas for your dreams. Join us on this journey. 1. The adaptive mindset. Survive like a mosquito in the rain. Picture a tiny mosquito flying through a rainstorm. A single raindrop weighs about 50 times more than the mosquito itself. Add the speed of gravity, and that drop hits like a massive bus slamming into a human. So why do most mosquitoes survive rainy days? An American professor used a high-speed camera to uncover their secret. When a raindrop strikes, the mosquito doesn't resist. It tilts its body along the drop's path, flipping itself so the water slides off. Its body is coated with a water-repellent material, like a lotus leaf, making it easy to shake off the drop. Even if the drop pushes it down, the mosquito goes with the force, falling alongside it, then quickly adjusts its posture to break free and keep flying. No matter how heavy the rain, the mosquito adapts. This is the adaptive mindset, a way of living that's been essential from the past to the present. Charles Darwin, the scientist behind evolution, put it best. It's not the strongest or smartest species that survive. It's the ones that respond fastest to change. Think back to history. When the printing press arrived, scribes didn't cling to their quills. They learned to operate the machines or found new roles. Centuries later, Andy Grove, who built Intel into a tech giant, warned, "Change from the outside is always 10 times faster than we predict." He was right. Look around. Trades like manual printing faded as photography, and then virtual reality took over. Now, the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, AI, is just one more wave. It has the power to replace humans in many jobs we rely on today, while also opening doors to new kinds of work in the future. Proof that change never stops. But this isn't about AI alone. It's about the pattern. Jobs vanish, new ones emerge, and the world shifts faster than we expect, whether it's a machine in the 1400s or a program in the modern age. The lesson? Standing still has never been safe. To thrive, you must adjust before change forces your hand. Back then, a blacksmith might have learned to forge steel when iron wasn't enough. Now, a shop owner might use tech to track sales trends, or a teacher tweak lessons for a digital age. It's not about mastering every new tool. It's about bending with the wind, like the mosquito. Those who adapt don't just survive. They succeed sooner than the rest. That's been true for centuries, and it's true today. 2. The probability mindset. Look beyond what you see. During World War I, engineers at Columbia University had a task. They analyzed bullet holes on planes that returned from battle to decide where to add armor. At first, They noticed the holes weren't even. Some parts, like the wings, had more damage than others, like the engines. They thought, let's reinforce the areas with the most holes. It sounded reasonable, but a brilliant mathematician, Abraham Wald, stopped them. No, he said. Reinforce the parts with the fewest holes, like the engines. Why? Wald used probability. He explained that every part of a plane has an equal chance of being hit. So why were there fewer holes on the engines? Because planes shot there couldn't fly back. They crashed. The ones that returned had damage in less vital spots and still landed safely. It's like in medicine. You see more patients with leg injuries than chest wounds, not because legs are targeted more, but because chest wounds often kill before help arrives. Ordinary people saw the planes that came back. Wald saw the ones that didn't. This is the probability mindset. It's about seeing what's hidden. Charlie Munger, a master investor, uses this in finance. He says wisdom is like fishing. The first rule is to fish where the fish are. The second rule is to always remember the first. Life throws 3 questions at us. What should I do? What should I avoid? What should I repeat? Probability helps you answer with precision. It shows you what's worth doing, what's a waste, and what builds success over time. People with this mindset make smarter choices. 3. The leverage mindset. Make big wins with small moves. In the 1990s, the British Library faced a giant task: move over 13 million books from its old London building to a new one in St. Pancras. Experts estimated it would cost £3.5 million, around $4.5 million in today's money. Managers brainstormed: hire cheaper workers, cut transport costs. But with so many books, every idea felt like a drop in the ocean. The workload was overwhelming. Then a young employee approached the manager. "I have a plan," she said. "Give me £150,000 and I'll get it done." The manager agreed. The next day, she put an announcement in the newspaper. "From today, the British Library is free and open to everyone. To help us move, please return your books to our new address in St. Pancras." People came in droves, bringing books back themselves. With just £150,000, less than 5% of the budget, she completed 90% of the move. She turned the traditional idea of moving books into returning books. Brilliant. This is the leverage mindset. It's about finding a small action that creates a huge result. In the book, Genius on the left, Madman on the right, there's a line: "If thinking is a wall, the world is on the other side." When you hit a dead end, don't keep pushing. Try a new direction. That shift can light up the way forward. This mindset is so powerful. It saves time, money, and effort while getting you closer to freedom, like financial independence. 4. Long game thinking, playing beyond now. Michael Simons, a best-selling author, spent 5 years studying the habits of self-made billionaires. He discovered that the most successful entrepreneurs shared a powerful trait. They thought in 4 dimensions, looking at the past, the present, the future, and even the timeless trends that stretch beyond, while most people only thought in 1, stuck in the here and now. Jeff Bezos, for instance, is willing to invest billions of dollars into projects that may fail or take years to produce results. He doesn't just think in terms of short-term profits. He sees Amazon as a company that will transform entire industries over the long haul. Warren Buffett, similarly, invests only in businesses he believes he can hold for decades steady, patient bets. Masayoshi Son, the founder of SoftBank, once asked his employees, "Why do most people fail to achieve massive success?" When they fumbled for an answer, he drew a mountain on a piece of paper, a circle at the bottom for where you start, a circle at the top for where you're headed, and a line connecting them labeled ideals. He said ideals are like a lighthouse guiding your path when you've got a clear goal. You're more patient, calmer, and tougher. Short-term successes won't throw you off, and temporary failures won't scare you away. His advice? Don't put too much stock in what you pull off in a single year, and never underestimate what can happen in 10. Always focus on doing the right thing, and time will sort it out. Look past today, tomorrow's the jackpot. 5. Root-digging thinking. Fixing the real mess. When a group of top programmers was asked about their most significant challenges, they didn't talk about writing better code or mastering new programming languages. They pointed to something deeper, understanding the needs behind their work. This became crystal clear during a project at Google. The company's team noticed that conversion rates from search to ads in China were low. People just weren't clicking through. The business team proposed making the ads more prominent by increasing font sizes and changing colors to grab attention. But the vice president of the project stepped back and asked, "Why is the real problem we're trying to solve here?" After digging deeper with his team, they realized that the layout of the web page was the true issue. The user interface on Chinese portals was so cluttered with banners at the top that people didn't even notice the ads up there. They scrolled straight down to the bottom. So instead of tweaking fonts or colors, they moved the ad placement lower on the page, and boom, conversion rates shot up. Those engineers didn't just focus on the surface fix, they looked at the human needs behind the screen. Don't trim branches, dig up roots. 6. The lazy ant mindset. Save energy for the big moments. In an experiment conducted with ants at Hokkaido University, a group of researchers studied how 3 groups of ants, each with 30 members, divided up their labor to keep the colony running. They found that in the colony, most ants were busy. Some spent their days collecting food and transporting it back to the nest. Others focused on cleaning the nest or taking care of the young ones. But a few ants stood out. They appeared to be very lazy, just loafing around, wandering aimlessly while their peers worked hard. The researchers called these ants lazy ants and marked them to keep track. Then they cut off the food sources to see what would happen. When the food ran out, the hard-working ants who'd been so busy started to panic. They didn't know what to do next. But the lazy ants, the ones who'd been marked, sprang into action. They took charge and led the colony to a new food source, showing the way while the others floundered. This surprising behavior demonstrates what I call smart pause thinking. It's about stepping back to think instead of just charging ahead. Psychologist Jordan Peterson has a checklist that hits home. Are you spending too much time on the easy stuff? Feeling smug, even though you've got no real wins to show for it? Are you putting things off under the guise of preparing, looking busy but not moving forward? Do you read a ton of books but never boil down the lessons, or if you do, never put them into play? If that's you, it's time to look up, not just keep your head down. Take a moment to assess the situation's success requires passion and dedication. 7. Scene-setting thinking. Shaping your vibe. Kurt Lewin, a psychologist known for his field theory in the mid-19th century, argued that our behavior is shaped by both our internal and external environments. He called it the geographic environment, the real stuff around us, and the behavioral environment, the one in our heads. One story he told nails it. A man was traveling through a snowstorm one winter night, riding his horse until he finally reached a tavern, overjoyed to have found a place to rest his weary bones. The tavern owner came out, surprised, and asked, "Where did you come from?" The man pointed back into the swirling snow behind him. The owner's jaw dropped, and he said, "Do you realize you just rode your horse across Lake Constance?" When he heard that, the man collapsed right there at the tavern owner's feet. He hadn't known he'd crossed a frozen lake. He thought it was just a snow-covered field. If he'd realized he was riding over a huge, dangerous lake, he probably wouldn't have dared to gallop across it so fast. But because he believed it was solid ground, he kept going without a second thought, until the truth hit him like a ton of bricks and shocked him into a faint. Our environment plays a huge role in how we act and think. If you want to change your behavior, you've got to change what's around you. Want to focus better? Create a space free of distractions. Want sharper thoughts? Ditch the low-quality short videos and pick up some classic books. Want a brighter mood? Steer clear of the stuff that drags you down. Argue less with folks and spend more time soaking in nature. Shape your spot or it shapes you. 8. The pivot mindset. Turn away from dead ends. Take the story of Stuart Butterfield, the guy who co-founded Slack. Back in the early 2000s, he was all in on a gaming startup called Game Never Ending. Picture this. Stuart and his team poured years into it. Coding, designing, dreaming of a hit online game. They had a small crew, big ideas, and some buzz going. Friends and early testers loved the vibe. It felt like they were onto something. But then reality hit. The game wasn't pulling in players fast enough. Cash was drying up, and the market was shifting. MMOs were a tough sell against giants like World of Warcraft. Investors started ghosting, and the numbers just didn't add up. Stuart could have kept hammering away, begging for more funding or tweaking the game endlessly. His team was begging him to push harder. "We're so close," they'd say. Even his family nudged him to stick it out, thinking a breakthrough was around the corner. But Stuart took a hard look at the wall in front of him. It wasn't budging, and he wasn't about to waste more years crashing into it. So, he pulled the plug in 2004. Game over. Here's the pivot. While building the game, his team had cooked up a slick internal chat tool to stay in sync. It was just a side thing, nothing fancy, but it worked like a charm. Stuart saw the spark. Why not ditch the game and build this instead? He let go of the sinking ship, rallied his crew, and turned that chat tool into Flickr, a photo-sharing platform. Flickr took off, sold to Yahoo for $25 million in 2005, and made Stuart a name. But he didn't stop there. Years later, he circled back to that chat idea, refined it, and launched Slack in 2013. Today, Slack's a billion-dollar beast, changing how teams work worldwide. The old game? A footnote no one remembers. That's the mindset. Stuart didn't waste effort on a wall that wouldn't crack. Letting go wasn't quitting. It was wisdom. He stepped out of the mud, found a better path, and built something massive. In business, not every hill's worth dying on. Knowing when to walk away can be the difference between a dead end and a gold mine. 9. Gap-fixing thinking. Turning mess into muscle. Peng Wei, the CEO of Alipay, once remarked that his job wasn't simply to follow Jack Ma's decisions, but to ensure they became the right decisions whatever Jack threw out. He'd make it work. The ability to solve problems is what fuels success. Siki, a writer, recalls his first days working at a company when he was suddenly tasked with overseeing a complete website overhaul after just 3 days on the job. The assistant to the CEO called him into a meeting out of nowhere. He walked in, barely grasping what was happening, when the CEO laid into him. "You're in charge of the company website, right? This site's a disaster. Fix it fast. I want a new version up in 30 days. Such-Yuki was stunned. He'd only been there 3 days and had no clue how the site even ran. But he caught on quick. This was a trap set by the old-timers to test him. Most folks might have said, "Not my job," and walked away. But he didn't. He just nodded and got to it. Over the next month, he was a whirlwind planning new sections, hunting down technicians, coordinating with the UI design team, and somehow he pulled it off, launching a fresh site ahead of schedule. The CEO was thrilled, and later found out Siyuki wasn't even the guy originally in charge of it. That made him respect Satyu even more. The CEO went to the general manager, pushed for Chuki to take over the product department, and even nominated him as the standout employee of the year all in his first month. Chuki said every time he had to fill a gap like that, it was a chance to toughen up, build grit, and set a foundation for what came next. Work's just a string of holes, and your job's to patch them good. 10. Strength writing thinking. Betting on your best. Intelligence isn't just about knowing your strengths. It's about understanding your weaknesses too. Otto W., a German scientist, was forced to study literature as a child because his parents wanted him to, despite having no interest in it whatsoever. After one semester, his teacher had to tell his parents, "Otto works hard, but he's too stubborn. He's got perfect morals, but he'll never shine in literature." So they switched him to painting, but his art teacher gave the same verdict. He's got no knack for it. His paintings don't catch anyone's eye. Otto faced failure after failure trying to fit into fields that weren't his, and it chipped away at his confidence bit by bit. Then a kind chemistry teacher stepped in and said, "You're meticulous. You've got a gift for hands-on work. Why not try chemistry?" That flipped a switch. Otto's talents exploded, and he quickly rose to become a standout in the field. In 1910, he won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his groundbreaking work in synthetic chemistry, proving artificial flavors could change the game. There's an old saying, "A foot has its length, an inch has its span." We're all uneven, and that's okay. 11. The empty cup mindset. Clear space for growth. I'm sure you've heard of Steve Jobs. He's the man whose huge success made people forget he was once fired from his own company, Apple. But that moment, when he lost his job, shows us something special about him. Picture this. It's 1985. Steve started Apple, but now they've pushed him out. It hurts a lot. But instead of getting mad or holding on to old ideas, he stops. He takes a moment. He thinks deeply and clears his mind. All the old rules, the "I know everything" thoughts, he throws them away. He empties his cup to make room for new things. With his mind empty, not full of "I'm the best" or old plans, he opens up. He stops acting like he has all the answers and starts looking for new ones. That change brings big success later. When he goes back to Apple, he makes it amazing again with cool products that change the world. Why? Because he didn't stick to old ideas. He let his empty mind fill with fresh, smart thoughts. Steve's big wins didn't come from what he knew before 1985. They came from what he learned after, because he cleared his mind. So, when you feel stuck, try this. Stop. Empty your cup of old stuff. Let new ideas come in. That's how Steve did it, and that's how you can shine too. Life's like a downpour. You can stand there getting soaked or learn to dance with the drops. These 11 mindsets aren't some magic fix. They're gritty tools carved from real stories, from a tiny mosquito bending with the rain to self-made billionaires betting on decades over a single year. They hammer home one truth. Success isn't just about muscle or raw talent. It's about how you think, how you roll with the punches, and how you keep reinventing yourself. Whether you're clawing your way up from nothing or standing on a peak eyeing the next climb, slip into these shoes for a sec. You might just spot your own path lighting up ahead. What do you think? Toss me your take, because this journey isn't just theirs, it's yours too. And here's something special. If you've stayed with me until now, focusing through this entire journey, you're already ahead of the ordinary. That effort, the choice to listen, to absorb these ideas, shows you're ready to change. Most people drift through life, distracted or stuck. But you've taken a step towards something bigger. That's no small thing. Now, let's turn that spark into action. Changing your mindset is the most important step. It's the foundation. But thinking alone won't build the house. Action brings results. So here's your first move. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this with friends or family who could use it. Why? Because following along, watching these videos again and again, lets these lessons sink deep into your mind, into your subconscious. That's where real change grows. Every time you revisit, you're not just hearing words, You're training your brain to think differently, to act smarter. Keep sharpening your mind. The books you read, the paths you walk, the people you meet, they're stones paving your way. I'll keep bringing you more secrets about money, freedom, and life. See you next time.